It's been over a year since I uploaded my first ever YouTube video. Time really flies, doesn't it? Going back and watching my first ever YouTube guide for Vermintide was a nostalgic trip, but it kind of makes me cringe since I know I can do better than that. And today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So welcome on How to Solo Hordes in Vermintide 2, Remastered Edition. Making a guide on how to efficiently fight hordes, or solo them in Vermintide, is a deceptively simple idea at first, but when you consider how many different factors go into a potential explanation, including weapon type, horde density, terrain, and even more, the explanation becomes more challenging. To simplify this challenge and make it easier both for me to create and for you to watch and understand, I will be separating this video into a few different sections and break down the different topics and ideas regarding horde fighting, which you can find timestamped down in the description below. First off, let's set some basic rules. Similar to my original video, bosses and specials will be disabled so the focus can be fully on fighting hordes. All footage used will be in Cataclysm, because if what I can say can be done in Cata, then it can be done in any difficulty. Ranged weapon use is forbidden for the entire video, and ult usage will also be forbidden unless there is a very specific point to be made. Most of the fighting will be done on flat, even ground, but that is also subject to change if there is a point to be made. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to our first section regarding general tips. Let's talk about some general tips that can be applied no matter the situation that you are in. When fighting a horde by yourself, one of the most important things to do is to dodge rapidly to avoid some of the attacks that would have hit you otherwise. This is referred to as dodge dancing, and while you won't dodge every single attack aimed at you, you will dodge enough of them which will allow you to use your stamina to prevent the others from hitting you. Also, you should be aware that enemies are more likely to continue tracking you through your dodging if you dodge backwards, so you instead want to dodge left and right to get the best results. Regarding the remaining attacks that you won't dodge, you perhaps might think that I would say you need to block all of them, but what I would actually say is that you should use your stamina to push your attackers instead. Working in pushes while you fight allows you to interrupt some of the enemies in their attack animation by staggering them, preventing them from attacking you in the first place. Think about it as a trade. You expend one of your stamina shields to push 4 enemies who are about to hit you, which would have consumed 2 full stamina shields if they did, saving you 1 stamina shield in the end. Learning to attack, dodge dance, and push in rapid succession for long periods of time is essential for fighting solo, and this will just take time for you to practice and master. Another massively important thing is to understand what kind of weapon you are using. Every single weapon in Vermintide is unique as they have different attack patterns to learn, and the first thing that you should do with every weapon is to learn the main attack pattern for horde clearing. This can be just light attacks, just heavy attacks, or any mixture of heavy and light attacks, so make sure to take the time to learn the best attack pattern for not only horde clearing, but also single target damage. Also keep in mind that even if some of these weapons are considered to be in the same weapon type, they potentially might play very differently. For example, one-handed sword plays very differently than one-handed flail, so you should not attempt to play these two weapons the same since they share virtually nothing in common other than being a one-handed weapon. Lastly, remember that Vermintide rewards aggression rather than passiveness. Whenever you push into a horde, you should be the one controlling the horde and forcing them to bend to your will rather than the other way around. Being the aggressor allows you to take control of and handle hordes much more easily, because you force them into situations that are advantageous for you to be in. Playing passively allows the horde to go wherever they desire, allowing them to surround you and making it much more difficult to watch your back from a surprise assassin or a stormvermin overhead. Don't confuse this with never using defensive strategies, but just keep in mind that offense is much better than pure defense most of the time. These next few sections will cover tips on fighting hordes with specific kinds of weapons, and first up is what I will call the light weapons. These weapons are one-handed or dual-wielded weapons that rely on finesse and good use of dodging and pushing to be effective. For these weapons, I will be showcasing Krillion's one-handed sword and Saltz's Flail. Before we begin fighting, let's take a look at these weapons' attack patterns. One-handed sword's light attack pattern is 2 swipes followed by a stab, its heavy pattern is an overhead followed by a side attack, and its push attack is a simple sweep. It's pretty clear this weapon's main horde clear will be a push attack followed by a light attack spam, although using the combo light, heavy can also be a good alternative if you have time to pull it off. Heavy attack spam is also the best single target killer, although it does take some time to pull off and leaves you open to attacks. But fortunately, the light contains a stab which is armor piercing, so we can just use light spam if it isn't safe enough to use a heavy attack. I open up with a heavy attack for a guaranteed kill before beginning my horde killing combo. I turn around and notice that I'm about to be surrounded, so I dodge out and around the horde to get them into a small circle to make them easier to manage before returning to the light combo. I briefly get stuck on a rock which throws me off, so I block and dodge to a position where I feel safer before going on the offensive again. A large group of Skaven begins to move in from the right and try to cut me off, but my weapon gets stuck in them and I eat multiple hits from behind. The sheer density of the horde, though, makes it easy for me to regain my health. I begin to get surrounded from the right and don't know where I am in relation to that rock, so I turn around and block to make sure I won't hit it and dodge around it. I move along this wall with my back against it when I see Skaven approaching from the other side of the field, which lets me know the other wave has spawned on the opposite side of the field and won't spawn behind me and drop on top of me. However, I do see enemies climb up along the wall, so I abandon the wall. The horde begins to become split out of their circle, so I begin to push one group of enemies and snap to another group and attack them to keep the two groups staggered at once and prevent them from hitting me. I get hit, but my temp HP is so high that it doesn't matter. With only a small group of Skaven left in a circle, I have pretty much won this fight. Flail's attack pattern is much simpler. Its light attack pattern is 2 diagonal sweeps followed by an overhead, its heavy pattern is just horizontal sweeps, and its push attack is another horizontal sweep. The Flail's light attack combo is good for single target damage, but the massive amount of stagger, cleave, and damage on its heavy makes the heavy attacks the bread and butter of the weapon. With this weapon, you'll pretty much just be heavy spamming the entire time, unless you go up against super armor in which the light combo will be better. I open up by baiting out a Bestigor charge, hitting him with a heavy attack to knock him out of his charge, then focus him down as fast as possible. I try to keep the Bestigor away from me as I get in some horde damage, then focus him with heavies when he gets too close to prevent him from attacking. I hear a Bestigor begin to charge and block to see where he is coming from. Dodging his charge, I ride along the wall since I know enemies won't spawn from there, focusing more on getting myself out of there than dealing damage. I hear a Bestigor charge and decide to eat the hit to continue charging my Flail, as if I had blocked, I would have been stunned for a moment, which would have caused me to instantly get overrun and die. I hear a Bestigor charge and wind up to heavy attack him out of his charge, but make a mistake and try to push him. But luckily he just dies, so I go back to horde control. With only a few beastmen left in a small circle, I've won this battle. This section will cover tips with heavy weapons. These weapons are two-handed weapons that make it more difficult to dodge attacks, but compensate with more raw damage, stagger, and stamina pools. For these weapons, I will be showcasing Kruber's Executioner Sword and Bardin's Greataxe. Same as before, let's also take a look at the attack combos first. Executioner Sword's light pattern is 2 horizontal sweeps followed by a slightly angled sweep. Its heavy combo is just overhead strikes, and its push attack is also a slightly angled sweep. The first 2 sweeps of the light combo have great horde clearing potential, while the third angled sweep actually causes more harm than good since it comes out so slow. To combat this, the horde clear for this weapon will be the first 2 light attacks followed by a block cancel to reset the weapon to the start of its combo, working in a push attack if the need ever arises. The exact same could also be said about the heavy combo as well, as the first heavy has great single target damage while the second is just too slow, so we will also block cancel after the first overhead to force the attack to come out faster as well. Similar to the Flail, I bait out a Bestigor charge and focus him down as fast as possible. I quickly dispatch the next Bestigor, taking a slight risk of getting hit by another charging Bestigor, but get the kill off. I attempt to kill another Bestigor in an opening, but fail to realize I am being charged at. I react with a last-second dodge and flick behind me to finish off the Bestigor. I begin to move to the left before realizing the other horde is coming at me from that direction, and quickly double back. I knock a Bestigor out of his charge at the absolute last second through sheer luck, before forcing my way out of the corner with some push attacks. I focus on horde killing instead of killing the Bestigor, as he is behind the horde and isn't an immediate threat. When he pushes up, I wait for an opening and take it to kill him. I get stuck on a tree and quickly have to change directions, again to prevent myself from getting surrounded. But with all Bestigors dead and only a small horde left, I've won this battle. For the Greataxe, its light attack combo is a double overhead followed by an uppercut. Its heavy attacks are slightly angled sweeps, while its push attack is a fully horizontal sweep. Similar to the Flail, you'll mainly be using heavy attacks while fighting with the Greataxe, only using its light attacks to kill an elite or break a shield. Its push attack has good cleave and can be used to keep up pressure against a horde while simultaneously being a bit more defensive. Due to its low stamina shield and low dodge count though, you have to keep up the offensive to prevent yourself from getting overwhelmed, as if you are overwhelmed with this weapon, it will not be able to save you by itself. I start by using wide sweeps to both kill and stagger the beastmen away from me, as this weapon's reach is actually slightly greater than some of the attacks of your enemies, but only while you are hosting. I attack and dodge backwards to keep them out of range of me for as long as I can, targeting enemies who are using attacks that can reach me. I fail to realize the next beastman wave dropping behind me and get surrounded. I know this weapon alone cannot save me from this situation, so I am forced to ult to the other side of the horde and continue my offensive from there, blocking as I do so, which saves me from getting hit and canceling my jump. I am able to get into a good rhythm with my attacks, so I focus on doing as much damage as I can for as long as I can. As I push attack, I flick my camera a bit to drag the attack slightly to the sides of me, just in case I catch an enemy about to hit me I don't see. With that, I have come out victorious once more. Lastly, we'll be talking about how to deal with hordes using single-target weapons, such as the one-handed axe or dual daggers. You don't. Due to their extremely limited cleave, it is sadly impossible to solo a horde with these weapons without the aid of either teammates or other aspects of the game, which is why this section will focus on using your resources. Resources include potions, bombs, healing supplies, and your ultimate ability, and instead of me just talking about it, let's just jump straight into our example of Bardin's one-handed axe. For this example, I gave myself a random assortment of items to use to help me, which in this case happened to be a medkit, strength potion, and normal bomb. I open up with heavy attacks to destroy some shields, which will help me in the long run, as shields can absolutely destroy you if you're using a weapon with low cleave. Once I begin to lose control, I dodge dance to the double doors and quickly shut them behind me, buying me some time to get distance and grab the barrel, even though I do a full potato mode and fail to grab the barrel for way too long. Due to the barrel helping me keep control of the horde, I keep this door open to use for later, and instead focus on doing as much damage as I can while the rest of the horde catches up. I get hit and bail, using the door once more to buy me some time as I jump over the fence. I use the time they spend vaulting to deal as much damage as possible.
Dead manlings all over. At least the dwarf quarter is fared a little better.
I keep control of the Horde fairly well until the next wave spawns, forcing me to loop and do it over again. I stall on top of the fence and get them in the tightest group possible, then drink my strength pot and bomb the group for maximum damage and Horde clear. Due to the sheer density of the Horde climbing the fence, the rest of the Horde was forced to take other paths to reach me. However, because I killed the entire group climbing the fence with my bomb, the Horde becomes so split that it virtually turns into a trickle Horde, making it very easy to deal with and securing me the victory. When it comes to using your resources, you might be tempted to have what I call MMO brain, where you refuse to use any supplies no matter how dire the situation is because you might need it later. Remember that Vermintide isn't an MMO, and you can't use your resources if you die, so you should use them earlier than you might originally think to ensure that you get the full use out of them. Even if you do waste an item, it's better to have used it and gotten only some use out of the item rather than dying and getting no use from it. Also, don't take this section as me saying to only use resources if you're using single-target weapons, as if you are the last player alive and have to solo a Horde, you should be using everything at your disposal to survive. While this video is admittedly shorter than it could be, I can only offer so much in terms of how to deal with Hordes by yourself. Every single situation you will be in will be vastly different from the last and might require different strategies or mindsets, with the situation ranging anywhere from painfully easy to completely impossible to win. The final tip that I want to give is to just keep playing, as the more time you commit to playing, the better you will get overall. You'll passively run into situations where you have to fight alone, either due to your entire team dying or you just being split up from your team, which allows you to continue honing your skills at Horde fighting. Remember that the people who make it seem easy have 2+ years of experience in this game with thousands of hours played, and I can promise you that nobody was able to easily solo clutch from day one. Keep your head up, keep fighting, and keep playing, and you will see improvement. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe to see more Vermintide content in the future. See y'all next time.